What's up, everybody? It's Clark here for the BOS Sports Blogcast. Not the outcome we wanted to see tonight for Atlanta Hawks, as the Hornets won 126 to Atlanta Hawks 119 in a very close battle. Non-Knuppel, he had the dagger there at the end with a clutch three-point shot. Jalen Johnson, another monstrous game. In 40 minutes, he had 31 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, on 10 for 19 shooting from the field, 9 for 11 from the free throw line. As tonight for the Hawks, unfortunately, it was the rebounding game, as the Charlotte Hornets absolutely dominated on the glass, 49 to Atlanta Hawks 30. Massa Diabate, he had a monstrous double-double for the Charlotte Hornets. 11 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists. He out-rebounded the Atlanta Hawks centers combined, as Jock Landale and Onyeka Okongwu combined for 7 rebounds. And all those rebounds, unfortunately, came from Onyeka Okongwu. Jock Landale in 17 minutes had 0 rebounds. Onyeka Okongwu, his first game back from his facial fracture from Jaylen Brown, as described from the team. 16 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. He was crucial to Atlanta Hawks staying in the game there in that third quarter and fourth quarter. During those Hornets runs on offense and those shooting barrages, as Onyeka Okongwu himself from three-point land was 4 for 7. As well, for the Charlotte Hornets, Miles Bridges, he had a monstrous game and 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. And of course, in this blogcast, focus on 3 key stats, whether or not a team wins a basketball game. And the Hawks, they were very close to winning 2 of those. Unfortunately, when you get out-rebounded 30-49, that does not matter, as it did tonight. The Hawks, they shot 48.3% to Charlotte Hornets 48.4%. Very close there. The Hawks won the turnover battle 10-15. There were a lot of silver linings tonight. Zachary Shea, he just came back the other day from injury. I thought in this game, we saw a giant leap in defensive IQ from Zachary Shea. Of course, he had those 3 blocks there, including one on non-Knuppel. He had great play on non-Knuppel. And can almost see Zachary Shea have an uptick in speed there, as he was not quite keeping up with these shooting guards there before his injury kept him out for a few weeks there. Zachary Shea, he was absolutely getting sidelined, having great lateral movement there, keeping up with very speedy non-Knuppel, who I've compared to in the past to Luka Doncic, maybe a little bit more physical and maybe a little bit more athletic than Luka Doncic, which is kind of scary to think of being in division here with the Charlotte Hornets. But really, it was all about the center position, and Ryan Kalkbrenner, Massa Diabate absolutely cleaning up on the glass there tonight, as Jock Landale, he was no match for Ryan Kalkbrenner when they matched up as well. Massa Diabate, he was an absolute force. Him and Onyeka Okongwu, they did get physical at several points and did get an argument there in the first half, but it did not continue. Competition continued to brew the rest of the game. One of the best games I've seen is contrast that to what we saw last night, Clippers Kings. This was a much different kind of basketball game, much more competitive between the two teams. Great ball movement from both teams. I felt like both coaches were just trading punches there. Punch for punch, adjustment for adjustment. Quinn Snyder playing Jalen Johnson 40 minutes. That's about all you can do. As well, the Charlotte Hornets, they played more players, and of course, they made a little bit fewer trades at the deadline than the Hawks. They acquired Kobe White there, who was did not play tonight. And for the Atlanta Hawks, DNPs newly acquired, including Buddy Hield and Gabe Vincent. Ooh, had a little double up there. So inactive players include Jonathan Kuminga, is reported to be out past All-Star Weekend, as well as his trade counterpart. Kristaps Porzingis has been reported to be out until or past All-Star break there. So looking like potentially a push there health-wise. See how it works out for the Warriors. Of course, Kristaps Porzingis, he's an expiring contract. So for them to really win that trade, I feel like they have to go pretty far in the playoffs, at least win the Western Conference Finals. That would probably be an overachievement for that team as they stand. So it's looking like another great Anzi Soleil trade. I'm very happy with the job he's done overall with the Atlanta Hawks. I was very skeptical of the Kristaps Porzingis trade, but then to flip that into Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield seems productive on the outlet. We'll see how that turns out for the Hawks. But what the Hawks have essentially given up was that first-round pick, of course, from the Lakers, and that went to the Nets. They could have selected such centers as Ryan Kalkbrenner, who's been very solid for the Hornets, or Maxime Reynaud for, I believe, the Kings. He's been very solid as well. 2 over 7-foot presence for the Hawks. They could have had with that Lakers pick. And instead, they traded away. We'll see how that works out long term, as the Hawks still need an answer over 7 foot. And of course, having those 2 draft picks in this draft, probably looking at solving that this year and potentially even better draft class. So more wins by Anzi Soleil there. Very solid job overall. And very excited to see Jonathan Kuminga mesh with this Hawks team. Of course, get him in there. Get him in the Kyle Korver shot lab. Get him in that Emory healthcare program that's got Jalen Johnson playing 40 minutes here, absolutely barreling downhill to those Charlotte Hornets players. Points where players like the Melo Ball, they just get out of the way, because you don't want to see that Jalen Johnson train coming straight at you. Austin Reeves learned the hard way. You don't want to be him. So later on this episode, we're talking a little bit Atlanta Braves here. Got some spring training previews, pitchers, catchers report just coming up this week here. Got a lot to talk about as well. A lot to talk about in the NBA. Watched a little bit of Cavs Kings there. Have to check this ticker here and see what the final score is, but initial reactions to James Harden to Cleveland Cavaliers, things do not look good there. It's a little bit too ball dominant there. James Harden at the point guard. Darius Garland, you complain about all of his faults, but at least he was passing the ball. So around the NBA as well, the Hawks, I believe they fall to a half a game ahead of the Hornets there in the play-in. That is not good. The Hawks need to be in the play-in. They need to get playoff experience here. Games like this is a playoff intensity type of game here between Hornets and Hawks. Unfortunately, the rest of the opponents are not going to be playing that way the rest of the year. Eventually, not even the Hornets next week. We'll have to see, as there's a rematch on Wednesday. Hawks Hornets there, Charlotte. In the meantime, Hawks play Timberwolves, who've been up and down themselves. Bones Highland, who I mentioned in my trade suggestion for Anthony Edwards, he's been absolutely balling out control there for the Timberwolves. So they got hot perimeter shooters. We do not want to see what we see too often with this Atlanta Hawks team, of a team's guards getting hot from deep and making ridiculous shots. Magnet ball, Hawks opponents. We don't want to see that again Monday. Need a win and build on Tuesday, another win. Stay in the play-in as well. Looking around the league, Heat trending out of the play-in. Team that's got many problems, did not solve any of them at the deadline. Probably was hoping for Giannis. Looks like that might have been a rug pull. The Miami Heat, Pat Riley got rug pulled on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Quite a story. It would be interesting to track and follow all those controversies. Of course, there's a big story about him joining Call Sheep and a whole potential rug pull situation there. So, collusion there on the trade market and unregulated betting apps. What a way to live in 2026. I thought the gambling they already had in sports was enough. They just have to find even more ways. All right, moving back here, Hawks, Charlotte Hornets. Do a little bit of recap here before talking some Braves. Got a lot going on right now. I'll try to get through this episode quick and keep things succinct. Try to get all this information to you in the most fast, entertaining way possible. All right, so Zachary Shea, 8 of his 18 points in the first 4 minutes course, he just played just over 20 minutes. Felt like he could have played a little bit more. In the third quarter, I usually like Quinn Snyder's rotations. Not the biggest person to complain about them, as some are in the fan base. I felt like Corey Kispert could come in there late in the third quarter, give Zachary Shea a rest in the mid to late portions, that is. And then when Jalen Johnson had to rest at the end of the third quarter, have Zachary Shea instead of Corey Kispert. Corey Kispert's been very solid from three-point land, but Zachary Shea, he had an absolute magnet ball. And so having him there in the corner instead of Corey Kispert, while other guys, CJ McCollum and stuff, are doing their thing, that just creates more spacing, more threats, more offensive potential. And just to harp on Zachary Shea a little bit, mentioned earlier, his defense IQ and speed seem to have big leaps this game. Ball handling was a little bit of struggle for him at times. He, of course, tried to go back behind the back there, going towards the rim there. I believe that in the second half, had that mix-up. And as well, want to be able to post up. Try to post up LaMelo Ball. At least once I noticed in the game, and failed at it. Whenever got a mouse in the house, Zachary Shea got to take him to town. So look for him to continue growing strong as he becomes, as he trends out of his sophomore year in the season, coming in as a teenager in the league. So just things continue to work on there for Zachary Shea as he's shown stellar improvement this year. Absolutely see high potential in him. Seems like he could be like Kawhi Leonard, but with more length. And we're seeing him trending towards that direction games like this. So, back to the first half here. Aforementioned Onyeka Okongwu, Asa Diabate getting a bit of tussle there, first half. No fouls called, no technicals. I like that part. Seemed like they played on. No punches landed, anything like that. Felt like there's some odd calls there in that third quarter, early in the fourth that went the Hornets' way, but overall, at the end of the game, it seemed like things were fairly evenly refereed after Hawks got some decent calls there on the offense end, including Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson's getting certainly a superstar whistle, as he should. Defenders have to play him very physically and seem to hack him all the time. And refs are starting to get akin to what the defenders are trying to do on Jalen Johnson. And he's starting to get the calls that he certainly deserves. So, after three quarters, the Hornets, they led 98-90 as the Hawks, both in the second and third quarter, had poor closures of the quarter, and a little bit, I felt like, aforementioned, potentially could have been improved by the rotations there in the third quarter. You have Zachary Shea and aforementioned help space things out. First half closure, second quarter, closing that quarter, that was just a bit of sloppiness by the Hawks, such as we saw down the stretch. Now, we need Dyson Daniel to take offensive reps, and I like what the Hawks did with him being aggressive there down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Need Dyson Daniels to develop offensively, as that will absolutely unlock so many things for this Atlanta Hawks starting five in the half court. So I like him continuing taking those shots, continuing to be confident in his game, and hopefully continues to trend upwards. As tonight, he had a decent night. 5 for 13 shooting from the field, a little bit rough, but he had some nice moments, including a high glass laying there, laying off the high glass. 2 steals, always solid on defense in 31 minutes. The Hawks were clawed back there in the end of the fourth quarter and got to within 1 with 26 seconds left. The Hornets did have the ball back, though, and they seemed to play that situation perfectly. Onyeka Okongwu, he played the Mel ball. I believe that was the Mel ball bringing the ball up the floor. I believe he went for the steal. Onyeka Okongwu, he went for the steal and then fouled him. Fortunately, he hit both free throw shots and forced the Hawks to have to hit a 3-point shot, in which they missed. and that was the game. So if they make that shot, it could have gone to overtime. Things could have been a little bit different. Even being out-rebounded 30-49, the Hawks still had a chance there. And have to credit Quinn Snyder and his offense to putting up that kind of battle with that big of a rebounding margin. I do not understand how people can watch a game like that and say Quinn Snyder needs to be fired. I think it's just an egregious oversight and overlook about what's happening with this Hawks roster as well. Take out Jalen Johnson. You can say, of course, Jalen Johnson would have been a superstar under any coaching situation, just about. Maybe he's thriving a bit more under Quinn Snyder, but we look at all these players who've come over from different teams and absolutely have thrived in Quinn Snyder's system. Onyeka Okongwu, of course, he was drafted. He did not come from a different team, but he's absolutely taken a different leap under Quinn Snyder's system. His 3-ball shot has become incredibly reliable, dependable offensive weapon. Look at Dyson Daniels coming over from the Pelicans. Argument was certainly a little bit better last year with his better 3-point shooting numbers. But as well, Zachary Richer. You look, he came over from France, was pretty rough around the edges coming in the league. He continues to show incredible development. Recent examples, Corey Kispert, he just came over from the Wizards, instantly shooting better. And it looks a little bit better contributing on the floor. He looks more comfortable going after the offensive rebound a little bit more. So it looks a little bit better than at the Wizards. So the Hawks have multiple examples with Quinn Snyder of these development improvements. And as well, just looking at this game and how both coaches traded punches. It was a game of trading punches. It was one of the most brilliantly coached games I've seen in a long time. Have to contrast that, as aforementioned, with the Kings-Clippers game last night on national TV. One of the ugliest games I've ever seen on national TV. This game was absolute joy to watch. Both coaches were at the top of their game, trading punches and adjustments all through third and fourth quarter there to try to win this tough battle. Trending to be a potential rivalry situation, and really a fun one. The Hawks Magic rivalry is absolutely dreaded. It's not a fun one. It's one that the Magic, they've been playing a reckless style of physical brand basketball. This Hornets brand of physical basketball is very under control for the most part, and really just creates a lot of great competition. You don't see guys pulling guys down from the rim, as we saw Vik Krejci break his back from the Magic last year. So this Hornets-Hawks rivalry has a lot of potential here. And certainly, along with Celtics, will stay in it for foreseeable future. Detroit Pistons, they're a juggernaut. You got teams like Pacers, they might come back with the right pieces. But you look at the Hawks, the Hornets, the Raptors, Pistons, Celtics, that's the future, it looks like, this NBA Eastern Conference. And it'll be exciting to follow and watch over the next season or so. I think you look at next season, you see those teams. Did I mention the Raptors too? Raptors will be in as well. They got a nice young core. So, just got to add the right pieces just like the Hawks do. All right, before we head out here, let's talk some Atlanta Braves here. Pitchers, catchers reporting this week. The first full team workout scheduled a week after the Super Bowl on the 15th. Although a lot of position players are hopefully working with the Braves either in town or already there. It's an exciting time as much as I post online trying to advocate for the Braves. Add talent. It's very possible a collective of guys peak at the right time in their careers that put the Braves over the edge and to number one in Major League Baseball. So pause right here for a quick station identification and continue with a little bit of Braves talk here. This is the BOS Sports Blogcast. we got a little bit of breaking news tonight. Former Atlanta Hawks guard, as reported by ESPN's Shams Charania, has signed a 2-year deal with the Atlanta Lakers, so good for him. Certainly was not a fun transaction having to trade him away. It was very odd decision, I believe, by the Nets to release him, let him go. And the Lakers, they hopped on that opportunity. The Atlanta Hawks, they were ineligible to re-sign Kobe Buffkin. So that was the situation there. Hopefully I got the team he was traded away from the Hawks too right there. So just reported by Shams Charania. I saw that online. Probably should have done some more digging. A little bit cloudy memory from the summer. The Braves were so bad. Just wanted to block everything out in sports. The Braves have been so bad the last 2 years. Terrible. Absolutely disgusting work. Alex Anthopoulos, he's absolutely wrecked the team that John Capello built. John Capello. He, of course, put together the World Series contending 2021 Atlanta Braves core. Austin Riley, Dansby Swanson, Ozzie Albies, all these great players down the line. Of course, Alex Anthopoulos, he did have those clutch moves to bring in Charlie Morton. And, of course, at the trade deadline, Jock Peterson, Eddie Rosario, Jorge Soler. But that was the core that John Capello built and won several divisions in a row. I believe 6 in a row. And Alex Anthopoulos' job was to sustain that core and continue being a World Series contender. Unfortunately, they have not been a World Series contender the last 4 years. They have not advanced out of the first round of the playoffs, and last season they did not even make playoffs. So, the the Braves are technically a rebuilding team at this point. They're rebuilding, getting the playoffs, and become a contender. And of course, I've highlighted multiple times. The first time back in July, I highlighted the Braves needed to add an ace quality starting pitcher and a top order quality bat to getting on the level of the Dodgers. And unfortunately, we haven't seen that. We saw them add a closer quality reliever in this offseason. We saw them sign Ha-Seong Kim, who can certainly be crucial to this Braves team. We'll talk about in just a minute, but he's out for injury, start the season, torn ligament. So the Braves this week, they announced 24 non-roster invites with the circumstances of the Braves TV situation and money involved from it being up there. They cannot be the Dodgers. Unfortunately, they cannot spend like the Dodgers. Even though they told the entire Cobb County that they would and took $400 million in funding from Cobb County, saying that they would be a Dodgers-like massive spender and dominant off-season performer. And that has turned out to be a lie, unfortunately. And the biggest problem right now is their TV situation. It's not the battery. Battery is certainly a money printer and providing the Atlanta Braves to do as much as they are right now. And they've had a decent off season. I have to hope that one of those three guys, really two of those three guys, step up in a big way. Mauricio Dubon, who's acquired in trade from the Astros. Mike Yastrzemski, who is signed by the Braves. And Ha-Seong Kim. The Braves really need two of those guys to step up and have career years, really, for them to really be on the level of this Dodgers team without having to go out and add pieces at the deadline, which might be a possibility in playing for the Braves. Comment online from Michael Cordes: do not sign Zach Gallen. It will cost the Braves. I believe the Braves will be over the luxury tax, so that'll be 2 draft picks, including 2nd and 5th round. And our 2nd round draft pick this year is a non-roster invite to spring training. As with the Ha-Seong Kim injury, he's really about our 3rd shortstop. We got Mauricio Dubon, Hassan Kim is injured. And so somewhere down the line, you have to account for Alex Lourdes, who was invited. And he played as high A ball there in his first year, coming straight out of college. We'll get to him in just a minute. So, popular name there, Zach Gallen signed with the Braves. I still like the idea. I'm a little bit more positive on this roster potentially being a contender than Michael is. And as well, you're keeping away from other contenders such as Dodgers, Phillies, Yankees, who I believe will sign them as soon as they can open up a roster spot with their 60-day IL. Why not for them? 60-day IL, of course, opens up after players report to spring training. It does not begin counting towards that 60-day count until opening day. So the Dodgers, they want to rest somebody, or if someone has a little bit of lingering injury, a little bit of tinglies from the October run they had, Roki Sasaki or so, they could easily put them on that 60-day IL. Maybe Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who pitched back-to-back days, they want to give him a 2-month rest and have Zach Gallen, give him a tryout. It's under $100 million for the Dodgers. That's a tryout for them. They don't even care about that. Tough times here. Most likely be a lockout next season based on all the deferred money that the Dodgers gave away and the structure of their TV contract as well. More bad news as well for the TV front. ESPN is rumored to be requiring a subscription to ESPN Unlimited to subscribe to MLB.TV. So that will be 2 subscriptions that baseball fans will have to upkeep to watch MLB.TV. Multiple angles. Baseball appears to potentially going to completely suck in 2026. There's no sugarcoating it. Well, let's talk a little bit positive here. And maybe a little bit delusional as starting to mention names like Josh Hamilton and him being a late bloomer, and hoping we'll have some late bloomers here in this Atlanta Braves non-roster invite field. Maybe some early bloomers as well. Of course, recent Braves lure, we had Tyler Matzik, Grant Holmes, both late bloomers here. The largest examples all time, of course, Josh Hamilton, number 1 draft pick of the Rays. Not work out for them. Went through the Rule 5 draft, rebounded in Cincinnati, eventually landed on the Texas Rangers. Although his situation to being a late bloomer is definitely a lot different than any of the guys we have. We don't have any former number 1 draft picks who got drug suspension. So J.R. Ritchie, prospect, non-roster invite. I believe he's the number 2 prospect last season. Compared to other farms, that's not great. So although he has a lot of potential, essentially be a very solid rotation piece for the Slam Braves compared to what other teams have at their number 2 spot. They normally have a guy like this outside of the top 5, but could potentially be very solid there for the Braves rotation one day. Last play, he started out in high A ball last season, made his way AA, AAA. He really had a debut for the Braves. A lot of people were advocating for it. And he had a 1.3 ERA in high A, 3.49, 3.02 AA, AAA. Fastball, slider change. Unless he sees a giant uptick in fastball movement or velocity, Ritchie will likely have to add another pitch for finding sustainable major league success with his current arsenal. Maybe he adds that splitter that's been so devastating for so many pitchers, from Spencer Schwellenbach to AL playoff breakout Trey Savage in Blue Jays last season. He came out of nowhere and had that splitter and blank guys. Maybe that could be J.R. Ritchie one day. Garrett Bauman, very interesting prospect here for Atlanta Braves. Drafted 4th round in 2023. Stands an intimidating 6'8". On the mound with a fastball slider change from the right side. Just turned 21 in August. Although his fastball is only rated in the mid-50s on MLB's prospect rating, has not shown a huge amount of velocities yet. He might have a big jump. We saw Juan Carlos Lara have a big jump at one point in his minor league career with the Braves. That seems to be a bit of a trend for the Braves developing these young pitchers. Bring them along, make sure their mechanics are all good, functioning great, make sure they're healthy, and then let them rip. And hopefully that'll be the case for Garrett Ballman, and hopefully he'll be commanding those rips. Highest level pitch, high A ball. So very dubious for him to make impact here for the Braves. Who knows? Maybe he could have Spencer Schwellenbach, Spencer Strider-like rise. Of course, if I remember correctly, neither of them had a spring training invite years that they had their rise to the major league. So he already has a little bit of a foot in the door in the sense where they did not. And if something were to happen to the current Braves rotation, he might be a possibility and very helpful solution to the Braves. Wish they just signed an ace quality starting pitcher. Wish Max Fried was still here. That'd solve a lot of problems. Anyways, Owen Murphy. Now they're non-roster invite for spring training this year. Owen Murphy's only thrown 60 innings, 2024-2025. Of course, he went down with the Tommy John there, May 2024. He's went into his off season healthy. So he's having a full off season healthy. Fastball, slider, curve, changeup, 4-pitch mix. Great command. Brilliant high A ball. Well, Didier Fuentes, we saw him some last year. Of course, Mark Bowman, he took laps and took jokes on Didier Fuentes. Well, so did I. Some people even called him the Diddler. But anyways, he appears to have great command appears to be his last equation. As we saw him have a lot of potential there in major leagues last season, and might be useful for the Braves early on. Probably looking at the combination of those three pitchers between Ballman, Didier Fuentes, and J.R. Ritchie being first in line coming up if there's some kind of injury to this Braves outside of Bryce Elder. Bryce Elder could hopefully just add another pitch, screwball, knuckleball, something. A really good secondary pitch. Seems unlikely. Screwball is pretty dangerous on the arm to learn. It'd be clutch to have one if you for a guy like Bryce Elder. So moving on, aforementioned Alex Lodise. Have to learn his pronunciation there. Drafted second round last season. If the Braves resign player, they forgot they were under the luxury tax last season. They signed a qualifying offer guy last season. I do not believe Alex Lodice's pick would have been. Correction from earlier. I have to double check that later. But if so that changes things a little bit for the Braves going luxury tax this season. As well, John Gill. Looks like Whew. So yes, if the Braves signed a qualifying offer pitcher last season, they would have lost Alex Lodis. Did that correction there. Was correct on that. Ugh. It's been a long week. I gotta get down the stretch here and finish this episode here. So John Gill, another shortstop. He's there in the depth chart line. Unfortunately for the Braves, they're pretty thin at shortstop with injury to Ha-Seong Kim. He was in that international class of 2023, same class as Luis Guanipa. 1 year after Didier Fuentes. And first player out of that 2023 class to play with the Major League Club's spring training. So other players as well. Non-roster invites Roldy Munoz, who'll probably factor in at some point to the Braves bullpen. John Carlera as well. Hopefully he can figure out his command, as he has great velocity there. As taller, imposing mound figure. The Braves. Hayden Harris, we saw him debut with the Braves last season. I was very high on Hayden Harris coming in last season. Talked about his invisible fastball. Compared it to Paul Sewald, but from the left side. But the induced movement on that fastball, stuff overall just does not seem to quite play up to the major league level. So hopefully he'll take a big leap. He, of course, had a healthy offseason, play into this Braves 2026 team. So, as well, veterans, Carlos Carrasco, Sandy Leon, Chadwick Tromp, Luke Williams, Jose Azocar, Martin Perez, Aaron Shook, Kyle Farmer. Hopefully one of them will have a Josh Hamilton-like resurgence in their career. So, a lot to be excited about for Atlanta Braves coming in spring training. One of the fan favorites, several fan favorites were hoping to bounce back from injury and have nice seasons, including Ozzie Albies coming back from the hamate injury, a very concerning arm injury there as far as hitting wise for Ozzie Albies. Austin Riley, he had the hernia surgery after going out in the Speedway race. Well documented that shale from the Speedway race hit him in. And that's a very concerning injury. As we saw former Braves Dansby Swanson, he had a similar surgery early last year and was not really the same until about September defensively. So hopefully Austin Riley getting that surgery done, going through the offseason, he does not have that same kind of problems. Nacho Alvarez is listed there, potential depth chart for third base, so always an option if Austin Riley has to DH some early on. So a lot to be excited about. We really need two Mauricio Dubon, Ha-Seong Kim, Mike Yastrzemski to step up. As well, we need our core to step up. Austin Riley, Drake Baldwin, no sophomore slump, Ronald Acuna Jr., Matt Olson. As the way this Braves front office has structured this team and the talent they added, of course, with Mike Yastrzemski, Mauricio Dubon, Ha-Seong Kim, they're counting on their core guys to produce this season. And if they do and need something else at the deadline, then they can get it. This appears to be the Braves' strategy coming this season. I think it's a little bit dirty work putting Sean Murphy at full-time DH and backup catcher after he's had so many injury issues since coming over the Braves. Hopefully he can turn around. Maybe he gets some work in there with Chipper Jones there in spring training and learns to hit the other way and doesn't need to tear his oblique every time he swings. So, potential opening day starting lineup there for Atlanta Braves. Jurickson Profar, Ronald Acuna Jr., Matt Olson, top three. I like the idea of Ronald Acuna Jr. batting second. You want a solid, high on-base percentage leadoff guy in front of him. Produce as many runs as possible, similar as what we had when Freddie Freeman batted second for us. Similar to what the Dodgers, who've now won 2 championships in a row, but Freddie Freeman primarily batting second for them. So you put in a guy who can drive in runs, who has great bat-to-ball skills, generational bat-to-ball skills, like Ronald Acuna Jr. does. And hopefully they keep it light on him, both playing in the field and base pads. I'd like to see them use the DH with Ronald Acuna Jr. and use that left field, Mike Yastrzemski, Mauricio Dubon, play some left field there, sir. The Braves, right field there. No, left field. Left field, and then have Yastrzemski play right field. Mike Yastrzemski. We probably want Mike Yaz to play right field as opposed to Jerks and Profar doing that. Another potential roster problem for the Braves. They should have just signed Cody Bellinger. Oh well. Well, we'll see how that works out if Bellinger continues to produce for the Yankees. So that Braves starting lineup, we said Profar, Acuna, Olsen, then Riley, Baldwin, John Murphy, Michael Harris, Ozzy Albies, Mauricio Dubon. The main problem is nationally just keeps getting better, and the Braves have pretty much kept the same, so I'm a little bit fearful coming into the season. Really, before making final judgments, we need to see how both this Braves team and the rest teams look spring training. Do our guys still not have the ability to hit 12-6 break? If they can't, then Seth Lugo might have a no-hitter opening day, and then Braves are back in the soup. So, a lot of exciting things to look out here for the Braves going into spring training. Have an update episode here. Next BOS Sports Blogcast episode to be determined. Have some kind of indefinite pause. Is got some work to do and some tasks to take care of. So be sure to stream previous episodes of BOS Sports Blogcast. Stream Bar of Soap music. Stream Tangible Jazz Dreams music. And see you soon in about a week or two.